Hey, how's it going guys? Captain Cuba here and welcome to another God of War video. Now if you follow this channel or God of War at all, you probably know that Sony Santa Monica has sent out review codes for reviewers to review the game. Well, they haven't really reviewed the game completely, they were only allowed to play up to 5 hours and then give their thoughts on it. And this is exactly what we have received these past couple of days. Sites like IGN, Game Informer, What Culture Gaming, they've all given their thoughts on God of War Ragnarok. However, you might have noticed within the fanbase that some fans aren't happy with these previews because they've spoiled some things about the game. Now, I've watched a couple of them myself, and while I can say that it's true that they have spoiled some tiny little details, they obviously haven't been that big. Obviously, I'm not going to talk about the spoilers here, but they range from how Atreus climbs walls, to how the fight with Thor will look like, to new enemies. Again, these are just tiny details that with other games we wouldn't really mind, but with a game like God of War, we want to go into this game as blind as possible. And that's why I think maybe you shouldn't watch these videos. If I'm not gonna get a review copy, I'm gonna bring all of them down with me. But I still think these previews are important for consumers, because as people who buy games, we need to know whether the game is good or not. And that's why I wanted to make this video telling you guys what reviewers are talking about. Mostly the mechanics, like what they think the issues are. And I gotta say, it looks like the game is really good. Now, with early previews, you have to be somewhat skeptical about what the reviewer is saying because, look, I'm sure they are professional game reviewers and they take their job very seriously, but I think deep down, if you get an early copy, there's a bit of pressure to say good things about the game. And also, reviewing a game is much more complicated than just playing the first 5 hours. You have to play it in multiple difficulties, and some reviewers have actually done this for the preview, which I commend them for. But all I'm saying is, like, if you want an accurate, review of a game, you're gonna have to wait a little bit longer until the game comes out, and even a couple of weeks after the game comes out. But with that said, I'm not gonna delay this any further. I wanted to talk about what the previews have been saying, what the complaints have been, and once again, it seems like the game is really good. There's only 3 big complaints that I've seen. I also stopped watching the previews because I thought they were a little bit too spoilery. But the first issue that reviewers have had is that Atreus is a bit of a Navi from Zelda Ocarina of Time. Apparently, when you're trying to do puzzles, he will jump in like before you even have time to solve the problem and tell you what you have to do or give you a hint about it. Now, I will be honest, I don't think this is a new problem for God of War Ragnarok, and if you're thinking, what are you talking about, Captain Cuba? Atreus wasn't talking that much in God of War 2018. Well, if you're someone who thinks that, it's because you probably liked Atreus as a character. I liked him too, and I didn't mind his talking at all. Like, whenever he said, like, oh, maybe you should do this, maybe you should shoot it here. I didn't mind it because I thought Atreus was an interesting character. But there is another side of the God of War fandom that really doesn't like Atreus. And I think these are gamers from an older generation where they're used to playing a single player game where there's just a protagonist and there's no talking, you're just doing things. They're probably gamers who don't like narrative driven games like God of War 2018 and The Last of Us or pretty much any other Sony game. But whether Atreus will talk more in God of War Ragnarok is something I don't know for sure yet. I know I said I was going to be talking about the biggest issues reviewers have with the game, but I gotta be honest, this doesn't seem like it's an issue for every reviewer. I think only one has complained about this. I'm not exactly sure, but we'll have to see once we play the game and see if Atreus talks more than in God of War 2018 or not. Okay, so in regards to the second issue reviewers have been having with the game, I gotta be honest with you guys. When I was thinking about what to say in the video, I had it in mind what I was going to say about the second issue, but as I'm recording it, I completely forgot what it was. And my theory is that the issue was so small that my brain didn't even bother remembering it. That's my theory. So anyway, let's get to the third biggest issue. Now, the biggest issue God of War Ragnarok has, the one that's more prevalent in every preview I've seen, is the corridor squeeze. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, this is what a corridor squeeze looks like.
This is a lot of bodies.
Tell me what you see.
Well, they look like men, not giants.
Correct. Are you seeking treasure? See the traps?
Oh yeah, lucky for us they set them all off.
Be grateful these stay dead.
The reason reviewers have been hating on this feature so much is because this is what developers use to essentially load another part of the game or some textures. The game forces you to slow down so that other parts of the game can load. This was a complaint that so many reviewers had that Harley Honor, the technical narrative designer in Santa Monica Studios, tweeted about this. If someone calls a squeeze-through crack in the wall in a level a hidden loading screen one more time, I swear to God. And this issue, of course, has gamers divided. Some people think it's fine, some people absolutely hate it. I fall somewhere in the middle. I never mind these squeeze-throughs on my first playthrough because I'm so caught up with the emotions and just the narrative and the story and what they're saying as they're squeezing through the crack. But if I'm being honest, on a second playthrough, these things do get a little bit repetitive, same as the walking parts. I think gamers are becoming more aware of these things, and they're not having as much fun with them because you're not really playing a game, you're just walking. So reviewers have used this issue to talk about something else about God of War Ragnarok, and that is whether the game should have been cross-gen or just PlayStation 5 exclusive. Because they think if the game was only available for the PS5, they wouldn't have the squeeze-throughs or like these walk-in sections. And I don't know what to say about this. I don't think that's the case. I think, yeah, even though these things are used to load certain parts of the level, I think they're also included there for pacing issues. Again, God of War 2018 and God of War Ragnarok are not like God of War 3. It's not non-stop killing gods one after the other. It takes its time to build a story. There's a lot more talking, so the game sometimes just forces you to slow down so you can hear these and you can see the interactions between Kratos and Atreus, because if you don't, you won't really have a story. But in all honesty, I'm not sure if reviewers are just saying this because they have to say something negative about the game, or it really is a prevalent issue in God of War Ragnarok. Because look, if I have to squeeze through one of these wall cracks like every 30 minutes, I can see how it would get repetitive even on a first playthrough. But look, even if these are issues, these are very minor issues. These are equivalent to Kratos kicking the chain in God of War 2018. They're annoying, but they're not really that big. Overall, the reviews are very positive. They all praise the story for being so emotional and the combat for being really streamlined. For example, I haven't heard a single mention of talismans. And that's because I think the shields have become the talismans now. This is just my own theory, I don't know that for sure. But overall, it seems like the combat itself is much more streamlined. You have different abilities now with triangle, there's multiple kill animations depending on the weapons you're using, which is something I think every single God of War fan wanted. I'm not gonna say anything else for fear that you might consider it a spoiler, but overall it seems like reviewers are very happy with the game. And I don't think there's a reason for us not to be excited when this game finally comes out on November 9th, which is something we all suspected. But hey, that's the video for today. I hope you found it informative. I hope you know where your money's gonna be spent. If you've seen some of the previews, you can let me know in the comment section below what you think about the game. Do you think the game is looking good? Do you like all the mechanic changes they've made? The only thing I'm gonna ask is, don't talk about the story. Just don't mention any characters, any enemies that they might have mentioned in the previews. They're not that big, but for us God of War fans, they're important, so please don't do that. And yeah, I might actually just disable the comment section if I'm being honest with you. So yeah, as always, I want to thank all of my members for supporting the channel monthly. You guys are so awesome. You guys, I keep saying this, but you guys truly are the backbone of the channel. If it wasn't for you guys, I don't think I would have a channel. I don't really get that many sponsors, so thank you guys so much. And yeah, I would also like to thank everyone who likes and shares my videos. If you like this one, make sure you do it as well. And with that said, thanks for watching, and remember, go forth in the name of Ragnarok.